Hi. So this morning, I wanted to talk about I have in the last year, I say it was year, but really all of the process happened, or I mean, I should say all the visible process happened in the last 6 months. But what I decided about a year ago that I wanted to body recomposition. And if you don't know what that is, it's kind of losing fat and gaining muscle at the same time. I had got to a good place. If you don't know the backstory, I completely, absolutely burnt out in 2022. And I kind of blamed pregnancy and things like that in hindsight and through everything I've learned and experienced and kind of gathered from that situation and learning about the nervous system and health and things like that, I realized that was actually a long-standing kind of me being in a lot of fight, flight, anxiety, stress for a long period of time. And kind of pregnancy, childbirth, going back to work was kind of the cherry, the cherry that broke the camel's back, the straw that broke the camel's back, the cherry on top of my body was just like, no, no, we're not doing this. So that was about 22 that happened. And then I had to take a couple of years out. I was all into the gym and fitness before that, and actually just before I got pregnant again, before COVID, I had got in a good place body wise. I realize now my mindset was I still had a bit to learn to make that feel easy. So this is what this video is about, is again, I've done it. If it felt easy. It just felt sustainable. It didn't feel like I don't know, if you start a fitness routine and it's you almost have to, it's this is a phase of life. And yeah, it's all phases, but it was just what I was doing in the way I was doing it wasn't sustainable. I couldn't see myself having that lifestyle my whole life. It was oh, I'll just do this to lose the weight. And then I don't know, then I'll figure out how to actually sustain it or whatever. Whereas this time around, I feel with the mindset work, with what I had learned after as well, that process of healing my body, I had so much more, I was we're not hustling, we're not forcing this. If anything feels like it's being completely forced, that it's something I do not want to do, but I'm making myself do it because just to get to an end goal, I'm not doing it, because I had healed burnout. I had so much more compassion for my body, and now everything I do has to be out of love for my body, not out of fear of what will happen if I don't do the thing or if I don't have the thing. So it really came from a more place of what's devotion over discipline. Devotion is out of love. Discipline is doing it no matter what. If you know, the word discipline comes from disciple, and it means to follow. And I think it means to follow someone else, instead of your own. I think there's more than one way to skin a cat. Is that the saying? Where obviously you can achieve the same things completely different to someone else, and it works for you. And I'm telling you that this is what worked for me. So yeah, I mean, different exercises, somebody can achieve the same body composition, and they've done it in a completely different way, a different exercise, different routine, different food, and they can have the same outcome. And that all depends kind of on you. So you do have to follow your intuition a bit when it comes to the type of exercise you do. Be listening to the biofeedback, listen to your body. After you do something, do you feel, does it give you energy long term, or does it take your energy? I did a HIT. I knew I'm already that is not for me. As in, that's not, I love lifting weights. I go for my walk. There's a little thing about running there. I don't know if it's for me. I don't have a huge desire to do it, but I might in the future, I don't know, attempt it. But right now, I'm happy with what I'm doing, and I kind of want to really ingrain the gym more I'm really good at going to the gym, and then I want to find what works for me at home. Like that makes me want to do it. I go to the gym and I want to do that. At home, I really have to set up everything, my environment, like make it a vibe if I'm going to do it at home. So maybe I need to find the right, like somebody to follow online, or I don't know, the right framework or something. I haven't really, it hasn't affected me too much. I've got the results that I want in the fact I have lost fat and gained muscle. Am I where, I vision I want to be? No, but it doesn't matter. Like I'm on the way and I'm not stressed about it. Therefore, I'm like maintaining that end state. It's like I'm good with it and I'm good without it, but I'm still going to do the things, like I'm still working towards it. So yeah, I'm just going to go into the things that helped me lose fat and gain muscle and not hate the process, or not feel again like I was like taking myself out of my life, to focus on this one thing, and it's taking all my energy to maintain it. It felt easy. It felt like it was just in flow. When I was in a different mindset, it would feel like that hour or those 45 minutes or whatever it was to like do the workout. It's like I had to like make it happen. It seemed like this huge amount of time and it would take up my day. And now it doesn't. It just flows in the day, if that makes sense. Like it's like I just fit it in and I just do it, and it doesn't take away from my day or other things I have to do. In fact, it gives me energy to do those things. It makes those things better. Right. And I don't find it hard to like fit it in. It's just part of what I do. So for context as well, when I talk about that burnout and the health picture, we have to, before you even start, you have to get, it's not that you can't achieve what you have in your mind, you can. However, you have to get so honest. And I talk about this in like the habits, if you want to watch that one, 2 videos ago. You have to get so honest about where you are, because I definitely had this in my head when I was like completely burned out. My nervous system was fried, and like losing weight is a stress on the body. Like you're literally breaking down fat. So it is a stress process. Like your body goes a bit into survival because it's like, oh, whoa, you're like cutting the food here. So you have to make sure everything around that feels safe. If that is going to be a breakdown process, you have to make sure everything else feels pretty good and solid, and you can create safety in the other areas of your life, in your environment, in your mindset and your emotions around doing that thing. Because yes, this is going to stress our body, but it's fine. I've got you. I'm like eating enough nutrients, even though I've cut the calories, I'm eating enough nutrients. We're getting enough good food. We're resting enough. We're recovering enough. We're putting in the resources needed to then build the muscle that I've just broken down. And I am safe enough to lose the weight. Okay. Your body will, now this, calories in, calories out, there's thermodynamics. If you literally stop eating, you will lose weight. There is no such thing as, if you are not in a calorie deficit, that you will not lose weight. But we will subconsciously sabotage when we feel under stress. And the more stress you're under, the more unconscious you will be. So you will not be even aware that you are self-sabotaging. So when things like just leaving, if probably forgetting, say you're tracking, you will like forget to track some things. And so your body is like subconsciously like, it's not safe enough. We need this. If fat is like metaphysically, it is like protection, fat is safety. Like back when in our tribal days or whatever, if you had a lot of meat on your bones, like you were the one getting through the winter. You were the one when the food ran out a bit, you're like, I'm good. I've got stores. Okay. And muscle is not as good a store. So we lose muscle, your body will, if it's under attack, it will prefer to have fat rather than muscle. Not under attack, sorry, in scarcity, in survival, it would prefer to have more fat than muscle. Muscle takes a lot of energy to build and maintain. Like comparing to fat. And fat is like I said, energetically, it's protective. If you do not feel safe, you will have cravings. You will eat things like that have, hidden calories. Like, you will forget to track things. You will comfort eat, and you will overestimate the deficit you were in, if that makes sense. Like, you will probably technically be at maintenance or eating more, and you're like, consciously, I feel like I'm on the diet. Consciously, I feel like I'm doing it, but there will be certain things you're doing that isn't in your awareness. But when we become aware, which is when I'm talking about like the inner work and creating safety in your nervous system, it allows you to be more conscious, because you're just looking at everything neutrally. So your subconscious doesn't feel like it needs to hide stuff from you, like as in how much you're actually eating, how much activity you're actually doing, things like that, that are secretly, making you not in a calorie deficit. It will not feel the need to like give you intense cravings to eat food that doesn't really align with what you're trying to do, because it's like, she's actually got this, we're actually safe, so we can go with the process here. But you need to create that safety. So if you don't know how to self-regulate, if you don't know about nervous system stuff, or you haven't quite gotten there, and and created some self-awareness in who you're being, like throughout the day, and what you're doing and the actions you're taking, then it's going to be very hard to overcome these kind of patterns and things like that, because you're not consciously doing it. That's the thing. So you have to bring the unconscious into the conscious, but you will only be able to do that if you feel safe enough, if you trust yourself enough with that information. I've completely gone off that, but I was talking to a client yesterday, and she's in that process of foundations first, which is health. Okay. So if your symptoms are like really bad, you've got all these hormonal symptoms, brain fog, reactivity, stress, like burnout symptoms, fatigue, I don't know, all the hormone, period symptoms, perimenopause symptoms, all this, not sleeping well, just feeling overwhelmed, feeling stressed, like again, not having those nervous systems. If you're trying to lose weight, that is a stressful process. So you are putting stress on stress. Like, your body's like, we don't even have the nutrients to manage us right now, and now you're depriving us more. So your body will really go into like survival there, and then everything I've talked about, the subconscious, that'll all kick in. You'll start your journey, and you'll be like forcing it and trying to make it happen, and your body will just, like I said, the nervous system's like a rubber band, and you will rebound back. You might see some progress, and then it's like it doesn't, or you get sick, or something happens, that then you have to stop, and it just feels like you never get anywhere with it. Or you will force and hustle and restrict and control. This is where your whole life stops, just because you're on the diet, and you can't even go to events, and you can't do anything, because you're like, no, I'm sticking to this, I'm going to do it. And then you do it, and then you're like miserable, and then you're burnt out, and you have like all these like cortisol issues, hormonal issues, and then you put all the weight back on, or something like that. Or you even get there, or you just like burn out and get sick, and then something stops you in your track. Like, as in, it's always this yo-yo or stop start, all or nothing, feast or famine kind of mentality with it. So when you do the foundations first, you replete your cells, so that your body's not like, oh my God, we don't have enough resources, and now she's restricting more resources, so therefore we have to like trick her into conserving fat, and we're not going to build muscle, because we don't even have the resources for that. So we're going to try and maintain as much fat. We're going to really like slow down the metabolism. You don't actually slow down your metabolism, it just adapts to what you're doing. Like, if your body thinks there's a scarcity of resources, it will slow everything down in your body to conserve those resources. Therefore, it will slow down the weight loss process. It'll make you have not enough energy. So it'll make you want to like not move as much. So you might find you're being more like sedentary, not wanting to go on the walk, not wanting to expend energy and stuff like that, because your body's like, okay, she's restricting food. We don't have enough food. Therefore, we must conserve energy. So yes, we want to replete the nutrients. We want to actually get our metabolism at a good stage. So if you've got all those hormonal issues, gut issues, cortisol, burnout, stress issues, like your metabolism is probably not efficient right now, because it would be in like a scarcity kind of survival mode. So you want to have your 3 balanced meals a day, be eating at maintenance with mostly whole foods, really repleting your body, making your body feel safe enough. I'm getting 3 balanced meals a day, and I'm getting the nutrients that I need. I'm getting the macronutrients. I'm getting enough protein. I'm getting the fiber. Things are starting to the functioning of my body, the efficiency of my metabolism is starting to work really well here. And you bring your metabolism, because especially if you've been skipping meals, if you've kind of been on a diet for like a long time, you've been restricting calories or your food for a long time. The thing is with fat loss, you actually don't want to start losing weight from there, because your maintenance calories are now quite low. Like they might be at like 1,500, because your body has, like I said, it's trying to conserve the energy. So now what it takes for you to run throughout a day is actually 1,500. Whereas if your body had everything it needs and all the cells and everything is working efficiently, you might actually have a maintenance is where you don't gain weight and you don't lose weight, but your maintenance could be like 2,100, and you've got enough energy and you feel good, and your hormones aren't out of whack, and you're not getting all these like cravings, and you don't have brain fog, and you don't you're in like a good place. A person who is losing weight from 2,100 could reduce their calories to 1,800, 1,900 and lose weight. A person who has driven their metabolism down to 1,500 now needs to go to 1,200 to start losing weight, which is hard. You're like, that creates then. So not only is your body in this mode, but then your mind is like, this is not enough food. Like, I have to be so careful and controlled, and this is really restricting what I can eat and what I can have. That then feeds back into your stress response, because you are telling your mind, oh my God, this is not enough food. This is so restricting. Oh my God, I have to be so careful not to go over these calories. And then you're like feeling lack and scared, because you're missing out on food that you actually enjoy, and it all tastes like awful, because you can't put fats on anything, like oil or avocado. You're like, cut those out because they're so low. Whereas if you were on 2,100 at maintenance and now you're just cutting or losing weight, because you have to be in a deficit, at 1,800, then like 1,800, that's actually fine. Like, you've actually got loads of options there. Like, you might want to be careful, that you're not going over, so that you actually like start losing the weight. But that is a good amount of food. Like that, that's 3 meals a day. It's not that hard. It's not that much sacrifice. It's not that much restriction. Therefore, your body doesn't feel too stressed there. So getting your health, getting your metabolism up and running before you even start losing weight or going about it. And you can still be implementing like your exercise regime while you're doing this and stuff like that. Like, you can still be building muscle. In fact, it's better to build the muscle while you're at maintenance anyway, and eating for health, because there's more resources there to build the muscle. And then you can look at the fat loss phase like later on, when you're at like a good place and it feels easy, and then it's about just losing weight and maintaining the muscle you've already built while you were working on your health, while you were just at maintenance or even above. So that's one thing that I would say is sort out the health part first, then sort out like the foundations of like actually feeling good and eating for health, and then get your body functioning efficiently, and then go work on weight from there. And sometimes like when you do the health thing, when you start eating mostly whole foods, you might actually lose a bit of weight anyway, because you probably feel less inflamed, you're creating safety in your body, so it will kind of relax a bit and actually do what you want it to do, which is like lose a bit of fat, gain a bit of muscle. And so sometimes like it's not all or nothing, but I'm just saying for your mindset, it's kind of like, can I just nail really nourishing myself, building the foundations of nutrition and balance for like 3 months, and then once I feel good, once I have this, like once my energy is a bit more there and my routines are a bit more there, then introducing a fat loss phase doesn't feel like all these extra things at once, because any new change, any new habit is a stress to your body. So if you're trying to, it's like you go from not moving at all, not having an exercise regime, not really eating well, skipping meals, having a lot of like carby things and stuff like that. And then you're like, right, that's what people do. They're like, right, I start on Monday. And then they wonder why they like fall off. It's like, that is like way too much. Your body's like, hang on a ding dong minute. This is way too much. This is too much change. This is too much stress. We cannot hold this. We do not have the capacity. Therefore, I am like, this girl's out of her mind. This is what your subconscious is like saying about your conscious. It's like, she's out of her mind. She's doing too much. We must keep her safe. So how can we, like, basically, it's not like trick. It's always about protecting you, keeping you safe. It's like, no, she's trying to expend all this energy. We know the unknown is not good. Using energy is not good. Therefore, we're gonna do little things. We're gonna and fill her mind with like self-doubt and it's not working and things like this. So it'll get you in all the ways. So emotionally, you're going to feel resistance. Then you're going to have the doubts. It's not working. Why bother? I'm not even that sort of person. Who do I think I am? I can't do that. Oh, it's always this way. Oh, it's my genetics. All of this. It's like, I can't find my genes. All of it. Oh, it's my hormones. It's, whatever. You start looking in all the directions except going towards like the goal that you've already decided on. Again, go back to the habits one to learn about that. Yeah, and then the actual physical obstacles, like the kids get sick and then it's raining and then work gets hectic and then this happens and we're going away on a trip so I can't possibly do it. Then all these, so it gets you mentally, emotionally, physically, yeah, and then you just stop doing the thing, and then you're like, oh, it doesn't work. It's that stop start again, and all or nothing, things like that. Just checking, so cells have the nutrients. Yep. Okay, so say you've addressed all that, all those foundations, and you're like feeling pretty good. I think I'm ready to actually start the phase. I'm actually have enough energy, symptoms aren't too bad, I've got a good routine going, and now I want to go into actually losing the weight. So again, if you go back to the habits one, it's about making the what you want mean more. So it's really getting down to, why do I want this, and make it mean more than just the aesthetic. It's like, I want it because it's going to make me feel okay. So if you're like, because I want to fit my old clothes, I want to feel good, I want to feel confident, I want to feel like better in my body, I want more energy, I just want to feel strong and stuff like that. And then you ask why, and it's like, well, I want to feel strong. Some I'm trying to think of something. My whys was, yeah, actually like mental resilience and stuff like that, and to be able to do work that I want to do. Like just feeling strong and fit and healthy helps me with that, and it builds resilience, like mentally, emotionally. It proves to myself like I can do hard things, that I can trust myself because I stick to what I said I would do. And also over time, then I gain evidence as you see the progress and you see things, you're like, I knew I could do this. Like, and also trusting that I knew that I could have this, and now I've kind of given it to myself. All I had to do was keep making the little progress and keep showing up. And then also wanting it to feel easy, like wanting it to just be part of who I was. It that not forever did I have to like force myself to do these things, to eat well or do the walk or do the exercise. Like they literally, it becomes, as easy as it was for me to not do it, I want it to be as easy for me to do it. Like that it's actually harder for me to not do it because it makes me feel so good to do it. And I'm so focused on how it feels good to be doing and to have done that when I think about not doing it, it's like, ugh, like I can't not because it's just who I am. Like as easy as it used to be for me to procrastinate and sit there and like not do it, I wanted to feel. So that was a why. Also like osteoporosis, perimenopause. I had a little glimpse at the old menopause when I burnt out. My hormones were kind of acting as if I was in that phase. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do everything I need to do to get myself to a good state, that when I go into that, when that is like a physiological, natural process that's going to happen, I'm going to make sure I'm in like the best state possible to be handling these fluctuations. If you're coming into perimenopause, menopause from a depleted state, from your hormones are already out of whack, they are going to be like a roller coaster ride. If you're coming in and they are healthy, you have enough muscle, you're metabolically fit. It's proven that, like, going into perimenopause, menopause, like having more muscle will benefit you. Your body is more, like I said, metabolically active and fit, and it'll help with those processes. Everything, having good gut health, having a regulated nervous system, all those things are going to benefit you long term. Like as you age, when things start naturally can become out of balance if you let it, whereas these are now tools and lifestyle approaches I've learned that I'm taking into this phase with me, and it makes me more able to navigate that, and I'm starting it from like a better place. And even they say like you gain weight more, all of that isn't necessarily set in stone if you already have a good relationship with your body, if you already have the tools and processes that have worked for you before. It's just about slightly adapting them. If you didn't have those before, again, you're going into perimenopause with a load of new stuff happening and you haven't learned the foundations. You haven't been implementing the foundations. So therefore you have like got all the foundations to learn and implement, as well as navigating all these changes that are naturally going to occur. And that was one of my reasonings, is that I actually want to be, fit and healthy. I mean, long term, it's not just about an aesthetic process. I don't want osteoporosis. I don't want some autoimmune disease. And I shouldn't even be saying like, don't, like, I'm not doing it to not get those. Like I'm doing it to feel good now, but also for the future. I know it will stand to me, and I could either have waited till that hit me like a shit ton of bricks, or I had to decide, no, I am going to do this now. And then, of course, this will always stand to me. These are like life hacks, not even hacks, just life things we should know. I always say that about hormonal health. Like everyone's acting as if all this new information about perimenopause is like new, when it's literally stuff. There's little tweaks at each stage. There's like when you get your period, these are all the times of hormonal shifts. When you get your period, like after you have a baby, and then perimenopause, menopause. And there, all the marketing around perimenopause and stuff. And it's like, what you're learning is mostly on the foundations of what we should have learned when we were a teenager and getting our period, about what it means to be a woman. except we kind of skipped all that. Our hormones was a shit show, but they just put us on the pill so that we didn't have to like look at the symptoms, and let all those things still happen in the backgrounds while turning off like the warning sign, while the engine was still like sputtering and like, all over the place. And it's like, let's just turn off the warning light by taking this pill. Let's just not look at the symptoms yet. Underneath the hood, things are going very awry. And then when it literally gets later in your life and you cannot turn off the symptoms anymore, when it gets hard, when the symptoms are like, look at me, for the love of God, like, listen to me. There's something like not right inside. And then you're trying 20 different patches and 20 different supplements, and you're still, it's like whack-a-mole with the symptoms. And then you go to like a workshop and it's like, oh, I didn't know this, like, and now I have to do all these changes in this stage of my life. And it's like, no, most of that was information we should have had before. But we you don't know what you don't know. But at least it's happening now. And we should have had the foundations, and then we just adapt at each phase. Instead, we now have to like learn all that information while in the throes of perimenopause and having all of those symptoms and things like that. This has gone off course. I think I'll do a two-parter for this. So like I said, go to the habits one about making it mean more. And if you have the vision, then it's yours. And if you decide that you're going to do that, you cut out all the other indecision that will leak your energy. So if you decide you want it and then you start making excuses, oh, but what about this? What about that? Maybe I should try this approach. Maybe I should try that approach. All of that is just leaky energy. You just decide and then you go towards. Okay, so I would really listen to the habits one to actually make the process enjoyable and how to overcome resistance and things like that. So I'm just going to talk about like what you need, for like this particular process, or like in my experience. So some principles that you need to know is, some people maybe think that like if you gain muscle, you lose fat and things like that, which isn't necessarily true. Like they're actually two separate. Like, of course, there's always connections between things happening in the body, but like your muscle is your muscle. How big or small that is depends on how much stimulus your, i.e., weights, like lifting weights or repetitive movement where you contract and relax the muscle, contract and relax, or sustained contraction of the muscle stimulates the muscle and causes it to tear. Then if we provide the right environment, i.e., enough food, enough carbs, enough protein, enough vitamins and minerals, that the process is to build that muscle. And like I said, a good recovery space, because to build, we have to be resting, relaxing, repair, digest. So your nervous system has to be in that parasympathetic nervous system response. Like good sleep is when we do a lot of our building, repairing, detoxing, things like that. If we're getting good quality sleep, like if we're getting enough sleep and good quality sleep, you will feel like a piece of poo if you are not getting those things. And therefore your body, it's going to be very hard for you to build muscle. And why do you want to build muscle? You want to build muscle to have some shape. If you are just trying to purely lose fat and you are not building muscle, firstly, that process is going to be like not really give you, I don't know, the result, because I actually want some shape. I don't want to just be skinny. So you are going to be like, skinny fat. Like you will just lose weight, but you just feel like not strong, not toned, and you could lose like actually a lot of body fat and still just look like sickly and unhealthy if you don't have like the muscle mass underneath to actually give shape Okay, and it will also is a much harder process. So you stimulate the muscle, and then you provide enough rest and recovery for then the muscles, because it's the use it or lose it. If you aren't stimulating them, then they're not going to like uptake the nutrients. So this is also important, because if you are not stimulating that, then the any extra energy, i.e. food you're eating, is going to be stored just as fat, because you're not using the muscle. So the body's always going to prioritize what needs it. So they're like, oh, these muscles need repair. Oh, we're going to go in here. She has stimulated these muscles. They're kind of have torn and stuff like that and been activated. Now, when I put the food nom, 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 goes into my body, it will go to the muscle, because I have technically told my body where to put it. It's like, this needs it. Whereas if we're also running like a big stress response, it might actually not, it might be like, okay, I see that muscle's torn. However, we are in immediate danger. So I must churn out some adrenaline and cortisol and actually use this fuel for like anxiety and hypervigilance and fight or flight. I'm actually going to use it for that instead of, so we'll give a bit to the muscle, but we're actually going to use these. So this is why it's really important that we need stress to grow. However, we need to be in control of what we're stressed about. We need to master like what's actually worth being in a stress response versus what is just wasting our resources in the background. So that's what happens with the muscle. We want the muscle to grow, and then you do your exercises to stimulate which muscles you want to grow. And obviously, if you're just starting this process, you just want to like general everything. Like in the habits one, I would say just get started. You know, obviously, get a PT, or learn the exercise, start doing home workouts. When you begin this, it doesn't actually matter so much what you're doing, as long as you're getting in that habit of exercising X amount of times a week, however amount of times you said. And then later on, you can add the progressive overload, and then you can get like specific about which muscles you actually want to target if your jam is like weightlifting and stuff like that. Again, you have to actually enjoy the process, but anything that is, weight bearing, and then progressive overloading will grow your muscle. And then it is instructing your body to when I eat, put the resources here. And then we have to be, what we're eating has to actually help, so I would say 90 to 120 grams of protein a day, like 30 grams of fiber, because we want our gut actually detoxing and moving things along. Again, if you're nowhere near that amount, you work your way up, you titrate it up. Don't go from down here to up here. Your number one, it's going to be hard because you're like trying to do it all at once. Number two, your gut doesn't react as too well if it's not used to protein, if it's not used to a lot of fiber. You're going to get like gut issues, and your body's going to be like, I don't know how to process this. This is a lot of stuff, because those things are harder to break down. They can create a lot of gas. If you've got gut issues, you're going to struggle to digest them. They take a lot more energy to digest those than a slice of toast or a carb or sugar. Okay, sugar goes like straight into your bloodstream. Protein takes longer to digest. Therefore, this is why fiber and protein also keep you fuller for longer. This is why complex carbohydrates like more potatoes and starchy veg, and quinoa, which has a bit more protein in the carb, they have more fiber and protein. Therefore, they take longer to digest. They keep us fuller for longer. They don't spike our blood sugar as much. Plus, those, as opposed to like just toast or spaghetti or something sweet or carby, they've got more like nutrients in them. So you're eating, there's this carb and this carb, but this one has like fiber and vitamins, and it has other, it's doing multiple things, whereas this is pure just for energy. This is pure sugar. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just when we lean towards more the processed stuff and stuff like that, more than those, then we have like this excess of energy, i.e., which will be stored as fat. Um, or if you are stimulating your muscle, it will go to the muscle, so that's good. Um, but we're also like lacking nutrients from it, and it's also creating inflammation by doing those quick like blood sugar spikes. Whereas fiber and what else did I say was in those? Oh, fiber and protein and stuff takes longer to actually digest. Therefore, it doesn't hit your bloodstream as fast. Therefore, it doesn't spike your blood sugar. And when your blood sugar keeps spiking like this, that causes inflammation. So yes, so we've got the two different compartments. So on one side, I would always look at like weight training or any exercise that you're doing that is actually like load bearing is don't even, they're not like fat loss. They are to build your muscle. They are to build mental resilience. They're to prove to yourself that you can do hard things. They're to prove to yourself that you deserve to look after yourself, that, you know, like you have a goal, you want to be stronger, you want to look after your health, and therefore you do these things that feel maybe harder in the moment, but you are doing it as an act of self-respect, self-love, you know, and it's helping with every other area of your life. That's what you're doing when you're doing that. That is not fat loss. Then I don't look at as my walks as fat loss anymore either, again, because I made it mean something more. But what you want is just more like, you know, 8,000 to 12,000, you know, the number of steps is arbitrary. It depends. It depends. However, getting between those kind of daily is just very good for your health, and it keeps things moving. In energetics, in your body, stagnancy is not good. We want things moving so it can clear stuff out. We want constant movement. When it's like water, if water is stagnant, it gets all yucky and, you know, toxic and stuff like that. That is the same with our body. Therefore, that is why our cardiovascular health is very good and is, sorry, something that we need to look after. So then just our daily movement, this is where the calories kind of, you know, our body is always burning like a base amount of energy no matter what. Even if I sat here on the couch like the whole day, I am going to burn 800 to 1,200 calories, depending on how efficient my metabolism is, how much muscle do I have, what is my body composition, okay? Because you will burn more at rest when you have more muscle because it's more metabolically active, as opposed to if you have more fat, which is less metabolically active. So yeah, we've all got like this baseline that no matter what we do, just to breathe and pump our heart and detox our body and digest our food, there is a certain amount of energy expended. On top of that, then we've got just our, is it called NEAT? Basically, it's just your movement. That's not like, it's not planned. It's you know, I get up, I go get a coffee, I hoover the floor, I go out and get wood, in town, I go around, I'm doing the shopping. This is all just in my day. I'm just moving. So then, but that is adding more of what I'm burning. And then there's like my walk on top of that. And that is, you know, burning more fuel. That bumps up your calories. Or like I said, if you're losing weight, it uses more energy. So you just keep doing that. That is the thing. If you just get those, don't make it mean anything. Don't be like, I'm going for my walk, or else something bad is going to happen. It's like, go for your walk because it makes you feel good. Go for your walk because it clears your head. Go for your walk because you get to listen to your podcast, or you get to watch the sunrise, or it's a beautiful day, you want to get outside. Or if it's not a beautiful day, I'm always like, look at me, I can do hard things. As Jeff was like, are you a nutter? Like, I would go out and like, it was like stormy, rain, everything. And I was like, going for my walk. And he was like, you're actually not well. But I was just like, I just have to, because I just like, it's just what I do now. It's just what I do. And I'm like, the weather just does not put me off anymore, because it's just something that I do. It's hard to explain until you can like experience it. But if you can just have that mindset, even when it's not who you are yet, if you can have the mindset of like, this is just who I am, like you're literally brainwashing yourself. But brainwash yourself, or the world will do it for you, with media, with your social media, with the TV, with that negative person up the road who keeps on about all like the global disaster. They will brainwash you if you don't do it for yourself. So I suggest doing it for yourself, to what actually aligns with you, to what makes you feel good, instead of listening to everything around you, the magazines, the whatever. Yeah, it's like brainwash yourself, or the world will do it for you. Um, okay, so I said we need safety to lose fat. And again, I talked about yesterday about the energy in which you do things. So it's better to do the visualization, feel into how you want to feel at the end, and then embody that, those feelings, those behaviors, that way of thinking throughout your day, even in the process, because whatever result you want will be infused with the energy in which it took to get there. So again, if you're forcing, if you're restricting, if you're like, I'm trying to think what used I, yeah, it used to just be really like controlling, controlling. Like, it used to be like, if I don't do this, like, something bad will happen, or like, or I use focus on, if you're like, what I don't want to be, like, I'm doing this because I don't want to be fat. I'm doing this because I don't want to be a size whatever. I'm doing that, like, that's it, that's what it was infused as, and that was like what then the results were. I would get to the weight on the scales and like not be happy. Or as well, because that was a stress mindset, I felt like I could never build muscle, but I was, and what I was doing was in such like a stressed way. Of course my body was like going to be like, we're too stressed to build muscle. We're too stressed. So like, yeah, I'd build it like a little bit, but not to, like, it didn't make sense for the effort I was putting in as to the results I was getting. Like, as in, I was seeing results, but it's like they were like very hard to get. But it was like, I think my mentality, and now that I know these processes in the body, which is like, fat is like a breakdown, but I need to create safety while I do that. And muscle is like muscle growth. And again, everything is both ways. Like, you break down the muscle, but then I have to create safety around that. I can't leave the gym and keep worrying about stuff or staying in that stress mindset, or else I'm not creating the environment in which my muscles will grow. And then the thing, when you build muscle, this is the thing, it's like momentum. Okay. So when you actually build muscle, that is more metabolically active. Therefore, then you can eat more and you'll still be in a calorie deficit, if that makes sense. I mean, long term, when you go back to maintenance, like, you can eat more because your muscles are actually, it's requiring more energy to maintain them, as opposed to fat. So you will have lost a bit of fat, gained a bit of muscle, but you can actually eat the same, because I think some people are scared to go back to the way they were eating. But when you do it and understand like what's actually happening, you realize like, I can actually kind of eat more, or I eat the same as I was eating before, but I'm not gaining fat. Like, I'm actually maintaining this. And the more muscle you build like that, the more food you need to maintain that muscle. And therefore, it will be put into the muscle if you're still strength training, if you're still training your muscles, and be able to not have as much fat, because the resources are going towards your muscle instead of being stored as fat. Okay, and then I think I've kind of mostly talked about this, but the actual practical steps are like, uh, firstly, get a good maintenance, like as in again, work on your foundation so that you're at a good maintenance for where maintenance is where you don't gain weight and you don't lose weight and you're kind of happy. You're like, this is like a good amount of food for me. Um, like health symptoms are good, energy is good, and then you go into a slight calorie deficit. Now, I've used apps are really good to like monitor this, especially if you're new to it. Like I'm not doing it at the moment. I kind of did 3 months of it to kind of get to know what am I actually doing. And when you put butter and oil and certain things in, I can get a bit like woo about that and just throw them in. Whereas I was just like making sure I'm like, is that like a portion? Because it's very easy to go over with stuff like that. And they can be the tipping scales where you're like, I'm not losing weight. And it's like just the amount of butter maybe going into something, or you're talking about like full fat, coconut cream, coconut milk, stuff like that can just put you a bit over. And so a slight calorie deficit, enough protein, like I said, between 90 and 120, um, weight training your muscles to actually start directing your food and resources in there. Nutrients, obviously, if you don't have enough nutrients for the processes that your body want to do, everything's going to slow down as well. So enough water, take your like multivitamin, your fish oils, and your magnesium, so your body actually has like what it needs that way, as well as focusing on a mostly whole food diet, so that while you are restricting maybe your calories, you are getting enough nutrients, and also not cutting out carbs, because we need carbs for the muscle to actually grow. So especially for women, not going under 150 grams of carbs. Sorry, I was telling you about the apps. So I've got um oh my god, a Jeff Nippard's one at the moment. I have no idea. Oh, Macro Factor. And before that I used like Jeremy Ethier, ETH. I can't remember. But yeah, they're both like two YouTubers, like fitness people, but I just found the apps really good. Especially Jeremy's was like a bit more expensive, I think, at the start, but I could track my workouts and the calories on like the same app. So that was quite good. And then I got Jeff Nippers one. The more I got to grips with that and kind of like learned it myself, then I paid that for like a year. It wasn't that much. I got it on like a discount, and that's really handy. And I'm actually not tracking now. I will track my workouts to make sure I'm progressively overloading. This is the thing, is like, to build your muscle, you have to progressively overload. That's another thing your subconscious will make you feel like you're doing, but you're not doing if you're not actually tracking it. You're like, yeah, I'm definitely progressing, or like, and you're like, oh, my muscles aren't growing, but like I actually haven't changed the weights in like 3 months. So right now I'm kind of like on a break from that, but I have got to a good place and I know I'll go back to it again. I just have to get that, my foundations, because I've introduced new things in my life, new work things and stuff like that. So I have pulled back on like any active goals. I'm still going to the gym, I'm still eating well. But I'm not like actively trying to do anything, because like I said, I think you need the right mindset and space to actually begin the process, because again, it's something new. What to say for actual practical steps: progressive overload and enough steps activity. And again, if your energy is not good, if your health's not good, you're going to find resistance to like all of this. So get that in a good place first before going into any other ones. I want to talk about as well the mindset things that come up along the process, like things like the scale, or looking in the mirror and not seeing like the change, and how I overcame that, because that would have been the thing that would have made me stop. That would have the thing that I'd just be like, oh, it's not working, I won't do it, what's the point? And when I focus like that, I feel less likely like doing the workout or eating well, like, because I embody then that state of not enoughness, it's not working. I'm never going to change, you know, as in my mind did that sometimes. And I would look in the mirror and be like, nothing's changed. And it actually wasn't true. It's like things were changing. I just was in a state where I couldn't see it. So again, nervous system stuff, so important to trust the process and just again get in the state of the end state now, even when it looks like it's not working, and stop letting the scales dictate what you do. Stop letting your emotions dictate what you do. Again, you can take them as data, you can see them and be like, okay, but they shouldn't dictate what you said you would do for yourself. They shouldn't dictate how you show up for yourself, basically. So I will do that. This is just getting a bit longer. So let me know if this resonated, and I will also go through like that mindset and the emotional piece when it came from this, and when I thought it wasn't working, when I looked at the scales and it looked like it was going up and things like that. When I looked in the mirror and I thought it wasn't working, and how if I believed that, I just would have never kept going. So yeah, let me know if that's something that would be helpful. And I hope this one was. Please let me know what you think, and if it resonated, if you're in this phase or what phase you're in, and join my community for nervous system resources. I've got the food stuff in there if you're trying to get those like balanced plates going, and just a bit of a general routine, especially for women. And I'll talk to you in the next one.